Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. So you are a woman of faith. You have overcome over and over again. You have testimonies of passing many tests and victory stories of victorious winnings. Then, why are you hypertensive, high-strung, distressed, depressed, anxious, angry, living life but not loving life? Hi, I'm Teacher Hazel. Teaching is my ministry, my career, my life's work. I too am a woman of faith. I have been through the fire, I have been through the flood. Now, my heart's desire is the love dance of God. I am inviting you to listen to Life Love Lessons and talk to me about your learnings from my teachings. Join me on Thursdays at 10 p.m. on my YouTube channel, Abundant Life Mastery at the Call. And let's talk about life love lessons as women of faith. Welcome to Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. And tonight is our 7th lesson. And as usual, it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome each and every one of you to Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. I'm welcoming those who are logged on live with me tonight, and even those who will come on the recording after the fact. And of course, welcome to the first timers. But please, if this is your first time, make sure to listen to the lessons that went before. They are all available on the same channel. So, welcome to Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. Let us pray. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God sustains us. Wherever we are, God is. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I thank God for you, and I thank you for being here with me. I am Reverend Dr. Teacher Hazel and Gibbs DePeza, better known as Teacher Hazel. I'm a teacher by profession, I'm a teacher by calling. Teaching is my ministry. I'm also a transformational life coach and life mastery consultant. So among the things I do loving your living and self-development workshops and seminars, as well as group and individual coaching and consultations. And I am a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, blessed with 10 stars in my life. I'm happy and grateful. I love my life, and I love my Lord. And Life Love Lessons is intended to encourage you to love your life more and more. So what is my intention? My main intention is to encourage you to answer the call to your God-given purpose, to access the more abundant life that Christ promised you, and to empower you to live a life you love. Remember, I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. As we begin lesson 7, we take some Bible advice in answering some questions about being women of faith. And of course, we make connections with what we have learned in the lessons that went before. But first, we renew our affirmations. You remember our affirmations? So we renew our affirmations. So I want you to say with me as we affirm our being. Who am I? I am a spiritual being currently sojourning in physical form, having a human experience. Did you say it with me? Let's say it again. I am a spiritual being currently sojourning in physical form, having a human experience. And let us repeat our affirmation. I am me, I love the me that I am. Yes, let's do that again. I am. And you know the power of I am. I am me because this is what God made. I love the me that I am because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I love the me that I am. And I hope that you all have also been doing your mirror work and loving that person in the mirror. So, in today's lesson, we have some questions, and we begin with question 1. And question 1 says, do you see God when you look at yourself? Do you? And some of you are saying, what a preposterous question. Hmm? I hear you. But I plead Genesis 1:27 for asking this question. Genesis 1:27 says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. So, if he created us in his own image, then when we look at ourselves, we are supposed to see him. And there are other scriptures that support this. 1 John 4:4, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So you know that he is living in you. Corinthians 3:16, 1 Corinthians 3:16 tells us, know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? So you see, if you take these things seriously, then when you see yourself, you see God. Yes? 2 Corinthians 6:16, ye are the temple of the living God. As God had said, I will dwell in them and walk in them. So God sees himself in you. So, woman of faith, do you see God when you look at yourself? It is not such a preposterous question. And remember, how we think directly affects how we live. So if we think that God lives in us, and when we look at ourselves, we see God, because when God looks at us, he is looking to see himself in us. And that's our first question for tonight. Consider it. Do you see God when you look at yourself? It says a lot about the thoughts that you have and the beliefs that you carry. So let's move on to question 2. And question 2 says, do you use your God mind? And you're asking my what? Yes, I hear you. And you heard me right. Do you use your God mind? Yes, you have a God mind. You remember the super senses? The gifts you are given to connect to the infinite mind? And do you remember the one called intuition? The super sense intuition is the capacity to notice and commune with the infinite guidance system. Infinite intelligence speaks every day to every single person on the planet. So you do have a God mind. So let's look at this definition for intuition. It says intuition is the whisper of the soul. The whisper of the soul. Another sage says intuition is only as loud as our willingness to listen. So it's not a whole big loud thing. Soft and gentle. And sometimes we ignore it because it's so soft and gentle. But that is our connection to the infinite mind, our intuition. Mary Morrissey describes it as an internal guidance system for your life. She says it's one of the most important mental faculties because it speaks to you at a spiritual level. Intuition, the whisper of the soul. The intuitive mind enables you to plug in and communicate with infinite intelligence. You know how we talk about a gut feeling or a hunch? Yes, but you need to be quiet and still in order to hear it. What does the psalm say? Be still and know that I am God. And some other philosophers, intuition is seeing with the soul. Intuition is seeing with the soul. We all know about Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs says intuition is more powerful than intellect. Obviously, because the intellect is that physical aspect of our mind working. Intuition is the spiritual aspect. Intuition is the gift of knowing without reasoning. Because when you get intuitive information, you can't reason it out. And you know, it so happens that it was just yesterday, I was talking with someone, and he said, you know, we were talking about pain, and I was talking about some of my shoulder pains, etc. And he said, you know, I had this pain in my wrist that was making it difficult for me to drive. And one day I am driving up the road and I'm saying, Lord, what can I do about this wrist? It's paining so much. He said, and I heard a soft voice call the name of a medicine. And he said, I had never heard that name before. And I said, well, what is that? He said, but I decided to check a pharmacy and see if anybody knows about it because I don't know about it. And when he walked into the pharmacy and he asked the pharmacist, do you know this medicine? Because he saw feel that it's not real. Do you know this medicine? And he called the name. And the person said, yes, we have. And he said, what is for? It's for sprains and pain. And he said, oh, give me one, give me one. And you see, it comes so softly, so gently, that sometimes we ignore it, we dismiss it. But intuition is a sense of knowing how to act spontaneously without needing to know why. Because it's coming direct from the infinite source. Hear what Albert Einstein has to say. Albert Einstein explains the problem that we have created in our dealings with intuition. He says the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. You understand what's going on there? We have a rational mind. That's a faithful servant. You work things out, you reason them out, and once it's rational, you follow. But we have an intuitive mind, which is a sacred gift. But what have we done as the humans that we are? We praise the servant. We honor the servant. So everything is the rational mind. And if I can't work it out, and if I can't figure it out, and if it doesn't sound rational, and we forget the gift and the power of the gift and the value of the gift. Intuition, the intuitive mind, is a sacred gift. Learn to listen to the whisper of the intuition, because it's the whisper of your soul. That's your direct connection. That's your God mind. And all of us have one. Too many of us ignore it. And some of us, even when we hear it, we decide, that ain't singing so right. That ain't making sense. That ain't fitting the rational mind. But intuition is your connection with the Almighty, and therefore you should follow it. So when you want to walk on the water, you have to follow the intuitive mind, not the rational mind. The rational mind wouldn't take you out on the water to walk. Okay? So yes, you have a God mind. And now question 3. Question 3. Why are you still in prison? And again, you're wondering what's going on in my head. John 8:36 says, if the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. So, woman of faith, you've been made free. You are free indeed, and you say it. So why are you still in prison? What happened when the Lion of Judah broke your chains? You let him break the chains and you stay in prison still? You're free. Listen to these words of wisdom from Nelson Mandela, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Nelson Mandela, after serving 25 years in prison, after being treated how he has been treated, after all the torture that he went through, after all that he had been through, he was finally set free. And he was set free because his thoughts, his imagination, his belief was that he will be free one day. So even though he was being tortured, etc., he never let that conquer him because he knew the value of his thoughts. So he kept his thoughts focused. And then the day came when he said, as I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I would still be in prison. Listen carefully. I knew that if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I would still be in prison. Now, of all of us, we can't compare what we have been through with what Nelson Mandela experienced and what he had to live through. And he recognized that as bad as things may have been, he couldn't continue to be bitter. He couldn't continue to hate. He couldn't continue to be on the negative vibration with his oppressors. Because if he did, he would still be in prison. And that's why I ask you, why are you still in prison? If you've been made free, then you have to let go of the bitterness and the hatred and the envy and all the things that are negative. Because remember, there's only one thing that it hangs on, you know. What's the first commandment? What's the greatest commandment? What is the one that we must do? That's love. And when you love, you have to dismiss all the other things. So Solomon says in Proverbs, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Nelson Mandela knew that. He knew that how we think directly affects how we live. That our thoughts create our world. And among the gifts God gave us is the gift of freedom of choice. So in fact, you choose the things that come around you. And you choose if you want things around you to change. Because all you have to do to change things is to change your thinking, change your focus, change your way of seeing. And you know that your focus, where your focus goes, your energy flows. And you know that energy attracts like energy. So change your focus. Choose to do that. And you remember one of Dr. Wayne Dyer's famous quotations that we worked with earlier? Because he claims that change the way you see things, and the things you see will change. Change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. And you remember this picture. Some people see an old woman when they look at it. And that's all they see. But some people don't see an old woman. When they look at it, they see a young woman. Flashy and well-decked. And some people, no matter how they look, they wouldn't see the young woman because they've seen the old woman. But if you spend a little time and you change how you look at it, you'll see the shift. So if you can see the old woman and the young woman, then it's both for you. If you can only see the old woman, then that's all it is, and it won't be anything else. If you can only see the young woman, then that too is all it is for you. It's the way you see things that determines what you really see. And in our lessons, we have been learning about, thoughts and energy. You remember all that, and vibration, like a vibration attracts like vibration. Remember, it's not opposites attract. That's a lie, right? And we learned about deliberate creation because you understand. So you're seeing the connections between the questions we're looking at and the work that we've been doing over the weeks. And you, by now, should recognize that we choose our life story. We either do it deliberately, if we do it consciously and knowingly, or we do it by default, if we do it unconsciously, not knowingly. But we choose. So to change your results, change your thoughts, change your focus. If you change your thoughts, you change your life. And we have the famous words of Paul in Philippians. And Paul gave us this advice because he understood the power of thought. He understood about vibration. He understood that thought is energy and that life is energy, and energy vibrates, and like vibration attracts like vibration. So he said, whatsoever things are true. Think about that now. Because when you keep thinking on the level of truth, then that's what you attract to yourself. Whatsoever things are good. Don't you want some good things in your life? Whatsoever things are just. Whatsoever things are noble. Whatsoever things are honest. Whatsoever things are lovely. He even goes on to say, whatsoever things are of good report, whatsoever things have virtue in them and have praise in them. Think on these things. Because when you keep thinking on these things, the level of your vibration will be higher and you will be attracting those things to you. And you will change your life, change your thoughts, and you change the results that come in your life. And there's a little colorful diagram on the side there that shows you the vibrational scale. And you'll notice that at the bottom, shame and guilt and fear and grief and anger, those things are lower down. But then when you get to willingness and acceptance and reason and love and joy and peace, you're up at the top of the vibrational scale. And since vibration attracts like vibration, if you keep your thoughts on the higher vibrational scales, then you will attract those things into your life. And that is why you change your thoughts, you change your life. Bear that in mind. And remember, of course, everything is created twice. So when we speak about changing your thoughts, everything is created twice. First in the thought, and then in the physical. If you don't think of it, you can't do it. You have to be able to think. The chair that you're sitting on was first a thought before it was made into a chair. The glasses that we wear to improve our sight was first a thought. It had to be imagined. And as the imagination focused, we were able to vibrate at the level to bring it into being in what we call reality. Your thoughts. You have to think it before you can do it. It has to manifest in the spirit realm. It has to be a dream that you keep dreaming of. So your focus keeps going there. And where your focus goes, your energy flows. And eventually, it becomes reality. That's the way it works. So if you keep thinking, I could never do this, I could never do that, I will never get this, I will never get that, you never get it. Because that's what you're attracting to yourself. So you choose your imagination, you choose your perception, you choose your reality, because your perception is your reality. Yes? Your perception is your reality. Remember, it's not what happens that counts. It is how you respond to it that matters. And we know that your experiences and your thoughts color your perception. But what is perception? Perception is the capacity to evolve and expand the meaning we give to our experiences. And because perception is one of the super senses, one of the gifts, we can develop our perception to the point where we can find the seed of good inside everything. And again, we quote it all the time, eh? All things work together for good. And then when something comes, how that could happen to me? Why that happened to me? Can't have no good in that. Huh? But all things work together for good to those who love the Lord. So if you love the Lord, then even though it seems that it's bad, it's not really bad. It is working together for good. Because remember, you are only seeing a little part of the picture. God is seeing the whole picture. And if you don't dig the earth, you can't get to plant anything in it. And if you don't cover the seed, it wouldn't get to grow. And no doubt the earth must be saying, but what are they digging me up for? And the seed must be saying, but what are they covering me down in this hole for? But it will work towards good. Your perception is your reality. You have to determine what is good for you. So, as women of faith, I'm saying to you, the Son has made you free. Why not enjoy the freedom? And I want you to start thinking about your thoughts. Because we're talking about building the perception here. Think about your thoughts. Not just think thoughts, but think about your thoughts. Thoughts that when you see you you see God. Think about that. Thoughts that you have a God mind. Think about that. Thoughts that it is time to enjoy the freedom you have been gifted. Think about your thoughts. And now we move to question time. So let's hear your questions and comments on what we have been talking about. Yes, good night, my dear. Nice to have you. So let's get the questions and comments coming. You have some questions that were put before you. What do you think of them? How do you respond to them? And what about thinking of your thoughts? Hmm? Not just thinking thoughts, but thinking about your thoughts. It's all part of changing the way you see things so that the things you see will change. Because remember, choice is yours. You can choose to change your life. You've been given freedom of choice. So use it. Make it work for you. Yes? That's a night, my dear. Thinking about my thoughts is a new one. Yes, it is. It is. And it takes us to a different level of thinking. Because you see, we know that we think thoughts and we think that that's all there is to it. But we have to think about the thoughts. Because if we're going to control those thoughts and focus them, we have to know what they are. So, in addition to thinking them, we have to think about them in order to change them, or to focus them, or to put them out, or to bring others in. So, it's a deeper level of thinking when you are thinking about your thoughts. So that when you think about something, think about what you just thought about that something. And don't just go with what you thought. Think about what you thought, because that's when you can begin to focus. That's when you can begin to put yourself on the right vibration, to align yourself with the energy that you need, right? It's like turning on the radio. You have to find the right energy level, the right vibration. Yes, my dear, what jumps out at you is what Nelson Mandela said. Indeed, indeed, about leaving it all behind. Because if you don't, you're continuing to go with the baggage and therefore you're still in prison. Bob Marley says you have to free your mind. Hmm? That's what emancipation is, freeing your mind. So even though they open the gates and they let you out, even though they broke the chains, you're no longer tied. If you do not drop the hatred and the bitterness and the anger and envy and all the negative things, if you don't drop them, you take them along with you and you remain in prison. You remain in prison. Yes, I was 17 years old when I heard a small voice that saved my life, but didn't know it was called intuition. That's the name of it, intuition. And this is why I told that God speaks to us, to everyone, every day. But very often we don't listen. Sometimes we hear and we just dismiss it because we've not been taught about our super senses. And to know that that intuition, that still small voice that just shows up, you're going down the road and you hear, don't pass this way, pass the other. And you say to yourself, but a custom passing here, but what's that? And you're looking wrong because nobody talking to you. Why I mustn't pass this way? But if you're wise, you'll take the advice and pass the other way. If you're not, then you pass where you feel that you don't make up your mind to pass, so you pass in there and you take what you get when you pass there. And I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, can remember some point in time when you say, I know I wasn't supposed to pass there. Oh, I know I shouldn't have do that. Oh, I hear that before, man. Oh, I get that, man. And you still didn't take heed. So now you know that intuition is your connection to the infinite mind. And when you get the connection, accept it and make use of it. Yes? Thank you, darling. Love to you too. Yes, I'm always willing to share the details, honey. Always. Once you ask. So true. Very good. Yes. So true. I've noticed while attending these sessions that I used to not pay attention and listen to my inner voice. But now I'm learning to listen to this voice. Praise God for that. And that's what it is all about. As I said, my intention is to help you to love your life more and to access what God has provided for us, right? So that as we go along, you pay attention and you learn and you grow, right? As the little thing said a little while ago, bloom and grow. We don't want to be stunted, okay? So just remember, thank you, darling. You are connected to infinite wisdom, and abundant life is calling you. So why not answer and receive what is there for you? Change the way you think. Think about your thoughts. Shift your focus, because when you do, things change for you. Remember, everything is energy. Life is energy. Energy vibrates. Life vibrates. Your thoughts vibrate. And that is why Paul said, think about the things that are lovely and just, so that you will live at the level of lovely and just. And I'm looking at the time, and I have to say that we're coming to the end of our session now. And I hope that you enjoyed this lesson as much as I enjoyed sharing with you, and that you are looking forward to lesson 8, when we, as women of faith, consider some options to create lives that we love. And then, let me put you on notice. After lesson 8, we take a break for the August vacation. Okay? So you have some time to put into practice the things that you have learned over the 8 lessons before we continue. So as usual, let me remind you to love yourself. It's the only self you have. Love your life. It's the only life you know. Live abundantly. It's your birthright. Love God. It's your purpose for being here. And dare to dream, because everything is created twice, so you have to dream it before you do it or you get it. Dare to dream. And again, I say thank you. Thank each one of you for being here. Thank all those who will listen after. And remember, if this is your first lesson, then you have 6 lessons before to go back to. All right? And I'm happy that you think it's worth the sacrifice. I know, 10 o'clock at night, yes, but it does something, doesn't it? So thank you. God bless you and sweet dreams. And we'll meet again, God's Spare Life, next Thursday night. And then we'll take a break when you will review all of the lessons and put them into practice. And remember, look in the mirror and say, I love you. Say it until you mean it. Bye.